Amara never imagined her life would collide with Kang Min-jae like this. Not after everything he'd done to her. Just yesterday, he stood in front of the entire office, cold eyes locked on her, and announced her termination with zero explanation, no warning, no compassion, nothing. She walked out carrying a cardboard box and humiliation burning her throat. And now, that same man was lying unconscious in the hospital, his life draining away faster than the doctors could save it. Amara stood frozen as the surgeon explained what Min-jae needed: a kidney, a rare blood type match. And somehow, impossibly, she was the only compatible donor in the entire city. She almost laughed. Life had a sick sense of humor. She had no reason to help him, no debt and no obligation. He didn't even like her. In fact, he seemed to hate her. But when she saw him through the glass window, pale, helpless, tubes everywhere, her chest tightened. She hated him, yes, but she wasn't capable of letting someone die. So she signed the papers. No hesitation, no recognition, and no expectation. She made one promise to herself: he would never find out. Kang Min-jae woke up 3 days later with the personality of a man who hated depending on anyone. The first thing he noticed was the tightness in his side. The second was the pitying looks on everyone's faces. And the third, the one that bothered him the most, was the unanswered question burning through his mind. Who saved him? His father claimed the hospital found a miracle match. His mother cried and thanked the heavens. His board members whispered about the company collapsing if he hadn't survived. But Min-jae didn't care about any of them. He needed a name, a face, a reason someone would risk their life for a man like him. When the nurse refused to reveal the donor's identity, Min-jae's jaw clenched. With the same cold authority he used to rule his company, he demanded to see the hospital director. But every file he requested came back sealed. Meanwhile, miles away, Amara lay in her small apartment, stitches pulling painfully every time she breathed. She wanted peace, nothing more. She wanted to heal and disappear from Min-jae's world forever. But fate wasn't done with her, because Min-jae was already ordering a private investigation. Min-jae's investigator returned faster than expected, dropping a brown envelope on the hospital bedside table. "Sir, the donor didn't want to be known," he said carefully, "but you asked for truth." Inside the envelope was a single sheet of paper with one name: Amara Daniels. Min-jae stared at it for a long moment, disbelief flickering through his eyes. Her? The woman he fired without hesitation? The woman he'd humiliated publicly? The woman he barely noticed except to criticize? No, it didn't make sense. He remembered her expression when he let her go. Proud, hurt, holding her tears behind a stubborn glare. Why would someone like that save him? Why would she risk her life for a man who never gave her kindness? The investigator cleared his throat. She signed anonymously. No financial request, no conditions. She didn't even stay after surgery. Min-jae felt something unfamiliar twist inside him. Shame, guilt, and something deeper he couldn't name yet. He needed to see her to understand why she did this. At the same moment, Amara struggled to stand in her apartment, dizziness blurring her vision. The pain was sharp, but what scared her more was the knock at her door. 3 firm taps, then a familiar voice. "Amara, open the door." Amara's heart dropped at the sound of his voice. She gripped the doorframe for balance, her stitches burning with every breath. Of all the people she expected, Kang Min-jae was the last name on the list. She wasn't ready to face him, not to explain anything, and definitely not to relive the humiliation he'd put her through. Another knock, firmer. "Amara, I know you're inside." She closed her eyes. How did he even find her apartment? Why was he here? She donated her kidney under one and anonymous condition. No gratitude needed, no connection, no complications. But Min-jae wasn't a man who accepted limits. When she finally cracked the door open, his presence filled the hallway. He looked weaker than she remembered, paler, tired, a bandage visible under his shirt, but his eyes were sharp, locked on hers with unsettling intensity. "You should be resting," she whispered. His jaw tightened. "You gave me no choice." He stepped forward, voice low. "Why did you do it? Tell me the truth." She leaned against the wall, trying to steady her breathing. You didn't need to know, she said quietly. I wanted nothing from you. Minjae stepped closer, his gaze fierce. Well, I'm not leaving without answers. Amara didn't open the door fully. She kept the chain locked, creating a small barrier between them. She needed space, emotional and physical. Minjae, however, had never understood boundaries. His eyes scanned her tired face, the slight tremble in her hands, the way she hid her side when she moved. You're hurt, he said quietly. I just had major surgery, she shot back. What do you expect? He swallowed hard, guilt flickering across his features. It was the first human expression she had ever seen from him. Why me? He asked again, softer this time. After everything I did to you, why save my life? Amara looked away, refusing to let him see the conflict inside her. The truth was complicated, part compassion, part impulse, part something she didn't want to explain to a man who once treated her like she didn't matter. Because it was the right thing, she finally whispered. Not for you, but for me. Minjae exhaled, hands curling at his sides. I don't believe that. No one gives up a kidney for a man they hate. I don't hate you, she said quietly, but I don't owe you. Silence stretched between them. Then Minjae said the one thing she didn't expect. I owe you everything, and I intend to repay it. Minjae's words made Amara freeze. She didn't want repayment. She didn't want attention. She didn't want him in her life at all. She only wanted to heal and move on. But the look in his eyes told her he had already made a decision she wouldn't be able to stop. You don't owe me anything, she said firmly. I didn't save you for a reward. That's the problem, he replied. You saved me and walked away. No recognition, no expectation, no leverage. People like you don't exist in my world, Amara. I need to understand you. She flinched at his words. I'm not a mystery, Minjae. I'm just tired. His gaze softened in a way she'd never seen. Then let me help you. With what? She challenged. Your bills, your job, your recovery, anything. I don't want your money, she snapped louder than intended. And I don't want charity. The hallway went silent. Minjae took a slow, careful breath. This isn't charity, it's responsibility. And what happens when you're tired of feeling responsible? She asked, voice trembling. You go back to being the man who fired me like trash? He didn't answer. Instead, Minjae stepped back, eyes darkening with determination. I'm not leaving your life, Amara. Not after what you've done. Amara closed the door on him gently but firmly. He banged the door, shouting, I am not leaving you alone, Amara. Tears filled her eyes, but she needed a boundary, a pause, a moment where she could breathe without feeling his eyes on her. But Kang Minjae was not a man who understood retreat. She had barely reached her couch when her phone buzzed. Unknown number. You shouldn't be living alone after surgery. I'm arranging a nurse. Amara stared at the message, heat rising in her chest. Before she could respond, another message followed. Don't argue, it's already done. She gripped the phone so tightly her stitches hurt. This controlling attitude was exactly why she never wanted him to know. Gratitude was one thing. Obsession was another. She typed furiously, Stop! I don't need a nurse. I don't need anything from you. Respect my space. His reply came instantly. I can't. You almost died saving me. Her breathing hitched. She forced herself to sit up straight. I didn't do it for you, she said aloud, even though no one was there. Minutes later, someone knocked on her door again. But this time it wasn't Minjae. It was a neatly dressed woman holding a medical bag. Miss Daniels? She asked warmly. Mr. Kang sent me to care for you. Amara's stomach dropped. He wasn't even listening at all. Amara's first instinct was to slam the door shut, but the nurse stepped back politely, giving her space. If you don't want me here, I'll leave, the woman said gently. But I was told you might be in pain, and you look like you are. Amara wavered. Her side throbbed sharply, and the dizziness had gotten worse since she stood up earlier. Still, the idea of accepting Minjae's help made her skin prickle. She didn't want him thinking he had access to her life. But the nurse's eyes were kind, nothing like Minjae's intense stare. I'm not here to intrude, she said. Just to check your wound and make sure there's no infection. 5 minutes, that's all. Amara finally stepped aside. As the nurse cleaned her stitches and applied fresh dressings, Amara realized just how close she had been to fainting earlier. The pain wasn't easing, it was getting worse. You should have come back for a post-op check, the nurse murmured. You're pushing yourself too hard. I didn't want, complications, Amara muttered. The nurse hesitated before asking, Complications with Mr. Kang? Amara looked away instead of answering. When the nurse left, her phone buzzed again. I'll be by tomorrow to bring food. Don't refuse. Min-jae, he was slipping deeper into her life, and she had no idea how to stop him. Amara stared at the message, her pulse thudding in her ears. She wanted to throw the phone across the room. She wanted to scream, but mostly she wanted peace, something that had become impossible the moment Min-jae learned the truth. She typed a long message telling him to leave her alone, then deleted it. Anything she wrote would only feed whatever new obsession was forming inside him. A man like Min-jae didn't hear boundaries, he heard challenges. She turned off her phone and lay back slowly, wincing as her stitches pulled. The nurse's visit had helped, but exhaustion wrapped around her like a heavy blanket. She drifted into a restless sleep. When she woke, the apartment was dark, except for the faint glow coming from under her door. A shadow. Someone was outside. Her stomach dropped. She rose too quickly, a wave of pain crashing through her side. She steadied herself against the wall and whispered, Please don't be him. Not now. Then came a soft knock. Amara, it's me. Min-jae's voice. Her chest tightened. She hadn't given him permission to come. She hadn't replied to his messages. She had made her silence very clear. Yet he stood there anyway. Open the door, he said quietly. I brought dinner, and we need to talk. Amara opened the door only a fraction, ready to push him away again. But the sight of Min-jae standing there breathless, holding a warm food container, eyes dark with something she couldn't name, froze her in place. He looked nothing like the ruthless CEO she once worked for. He looked desperate. Amara, he whispered, I know I'm overwhelming you. I know I keep crossing lines, but I can't seem to stop. You saved my life, and I don't know how to exist normally after that. She stayed silent, gripping the edge of the door for support. He exhaled shakily. When I woke up in that hospital bed, the only thing I could think about was the unknown person who risked everything for me. When I found out it was you, I haven't been the same. Min-jae, she murmured, I didn't save you for this. I didn't want... I know, he cut in. That's why I can't walk away. He stepped closer, voice trembling with honesty. I don't want to repay you. I want to know you, protect you, be someone worthy of what you did. Amara's chest tightened. For the first time since the surgery, she saw the truth. He wasn't obsessed. He was falling in love, and that terrified her more than anything. The moral lesson of this story is that true kindness and selfless acts can change lives in ways you never expect. And sometimes even the coldest hearts can be softened by compassion.